Welcome to the fifth episode of the Weekend Sustainability Report. The motive of this report is to keep you updated on the recent social and environmental news. This episode came out a bit late, so apologies for that. Let's begin. The first update comes in from the insect world, as locusts are set to push millions of people towards hunger. Locusts have been feared throughout the history. Very closely related to grasshoppers, these insects form enormous swarms that spread across regions, devouring crops and causing serious agricultural damage. Right now, they are infesting multiple Indian states after destroying crops in Africa and Pakistan. They've always been around, but this time their infestation has intensified significantly as it is linked to climate change. Quoting the UN Environment, the last 5 years have been hotter than any other since the Industrial Revolution and since 2009. Studies have linked a hotter climate to more damaging locust swarms, leaving Africa disproportionately affected as 20 of the fastest warming countries globally are in Africa. Wet weather also favors multiplication of locusts. Widespread above average rain that pounded the Horn of Africa from October to December 2019 were up to 400% above normal rainfall amount. These abnormal rains were caused by the Indian Ocean dipole, a phenomenon accentuated by climate change. Events like these are one of many consequences of climate change. More events like these mean a major threat to the planet, and we have to be aware of this. The second update comes in from a place where we are recording this audio, and that is Nepal, as the country significantly increases taxation on electric vehicles. While the other nations of the world are shifting towards renewables and green solutions, Nepal is trying to be different by increasing the taxes up to 140% on electric vehicles. Quoting nepaldrives.com, according to the new budget, the excise duty on electric cars has now been raised to 40 to 80% depending upon their peak power. Electric cars with peak power ranging from 50 to 100 kilowatts will now have to bear an excise duty of 40%, 50% if it's between 100 to 150 kilowatts, and 60% for 150 to 200 kilowatts. Earlier, it was only 10%, regardless of the peak output. And to make the matters worse, the government has slapped an extra 80% customs duty. If you think about it, it's the immature decisions like these which stops a country from being sustainable. Green solutions are rising and other countries are adapting to it. If unsustainable processes are continued in Nepal for sustainable solutions, the citizens of Nepal will be struggling to live because of the air we breathe and the environment we live in. With that, we can definitely say the government does not really care about the environment, and not caring about the environment means not caring about the citizens, and that is super sad. Following that update, we have a contrasting news, as in the other parts of the world, renewable power investments have significantly outperformed fossil fuels over the past decade. Shares in renewables firms have significantly outperformed fossil fuel stocks in the US, UK, Germany, and France over the past decade, and displayed far more resilience to the disruption caused by the coronavirus pandemic since the turn of the year, a study led by the International Energy Agency has found. The research undertaken by Imperial College London in collaboration with the IEA looked at the performance of listed companies in the US, UK, Germany, and France involved in fossil fuel supply and compared them to firms active in renewables over the last decade. In the US, renewable power stocks rose over 200% between 2010 and 2020, more than double the total gains for fossil fuel stocks, which climbed 97%. In France and Germany, fossil fuels return actually plunged by a quarter over the period, while returns from renewables rose 171%. That news came in from businessqueen.com. And if you look at the situation, the future is bright for progressive visionaries and the citizens. Definitely not bright for citizens who have to pay a tax of 140% on green solutions. The fourth and final news for this episode comes in from Costa Rica, as it legalizes same-sex marriage. A lesbian couple became the first to tie the knot in a ceremony that took place just after the new law came into effect at midnight. The first same-sex marriage ceremony was broadcast as the culmination of a 3-hour program celebrating marriage equality. Enrique Sanchez, Costa Rica's first openly gay member of parliament, welcomed the change and praised those who had spent years lobbying for the same-sex marriage ban to be lifted. Same-sex marriage is already possible in Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Uruguay, and some parts of Mexico, but Costa Rica is the first country in Central America to allow it. That news was quoted from BBC.com. And in the midst of coronavirus, this is a positive and a progressive news. Kudos to Costa Rica for such a progressive step. And that is all we have for the 5th episode. If you come across any news related to social progress and environmental sustainability, you can always share it with us and we will try to feature it in this report. Until next time, please take care of yourself and everyone around you. Also, don't forget to keep the sustainability culture alive. This is Aisha Host signing off. See you next week.